Ladies and gentlemen, it's been so long. I look more like a caveman. Brenden finally decided to shave whatever the excuse of a beard he had going on was. And we're back for another episode of Here's Why You're Wrong. But, Brenden, here's the first thing I'll tell you. You were right in shaving that beard. Hold on.
I feel personally
Beard.
attacked. I feel personally attacked. I'm gonna go have to file a complaint with the eMLB HR department.
We have an HR department?
I mean, it's just one of the mascots batting around a ball yarn, but yes.
I was going to say, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no wonder none of my complaints go through.
I will say that you are right in saying that you look a little bit more scraggly than we're used to.
Yeah, I need to trim it up. I need to trim it up a little bit. It's been a little bit.
Starting to come in more here.
Hey, it looks good though. I don't hate it. Like I think
it looks better than whatever the this was.
Yeah, that was.
Hey! I don't care. I'm throwing that in there on purpose.
Heck yeah.
The filter's gone.
I gotta take that down for our editor. Hello, editor. He who shall not be named. So, it has been a minute. It's been a while. Brenden and I, both going through some stuff, had another podcast going on that sort of took time where we could be recording. But we both sat down and decided we wanted to bring back Here's Why You're Wrong. And you know what? It's the first thing we've done right in a while. So kudos to us.
Kudos to us. We're the best.
Well, actually, we are both doing stuff right with our own respective eMLB teams. I pulled the Rays out of a complete gutter shock that they were in. And you're continuing to win baseball games.
Yes, we do. You know why? It's because we're good.
Hey, apparently I'm good too. Once you put some strategy in there and, actually
all I'm saying is that the Rays were the team I was most worried about going into the year. If you were not a ghost ship, the Rays would be a real scary team in the American League.
Yeah, I'm a good team, and I'm set up for the future.
Well, let's see how long. You'll see how long until you manage to blow that up too.
Oh wow!
You think you're gonna get? You think Commissioner Lyon to move to a third team?
Here's the thing: Atlanta was like my team to get in there, and I was happy with them.
Yeah.
But Tampa's my team. Like that is my childhood, my roots. Like I have so much Tampa memorabilia in my room that it's just like it feels right. You know what I mean?
That's
like
fair.
This is my home.
That's fair. You want to go ahead and jump right into our first topic today?
Let's do it. The AL MVP race. Oh no, I'm kidding. We're gonna get to that. Let's first talk about sort of give you an overview of the eMLB playoff picture. It's very interesting, I should say.
It has.
Is that the best way to say?
I would say that.
So
I think it's a little less exciting than it was last year. I feel like down the stretch last year, almost every single race was close.
Yeah. AL it is. NL the wild card.
Yeah. You getting it pulled up?
Yeah, I've got it here. So, in the AL, we'll start with the East. Baltimore currently with a 3-game lead over the Boston Red Sox. Thanks to yours truly taking 2 of 3 from Boston, giving you a little extra cushion there. Oh, you're pulling it. Oh, look at you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're going to get it pulled up here.
Oh, wow. Look at you getting all fancy. In the AL Central, it's a 2-team race between Chicago and Cleveland. Minnesota, the first half of the AL Central that will be no longer after this season curse.
This division doesn't deserve to exist anymore. It's been a stain on baseball's reputation ever since it was founded. I'm glad it's gone.
And don't worry, this offseason, Here's Why You're Wrong will not go away. We're going to give you everything you need to know about expansion and a bunch of fun debates we're going to have with it.
I'm excited for that.
Stay tuned for that. In the AL West, it's as spicy as it's going to get. LA Angels currently 3 games back of Houston. That's such a toss-up division because they're 1A, 1B, I feel like, in the AL side of power rankings, if you were to power rank them there.
They are. Houston pretty much is clearly the number 1, though. It was a 1A, 1B. Houston is the one. Houston is a far superior team, and that's saying something considering that LA is a far superior team to everybody else.
Yeah.
In the American League. It's 1, 2, and then a big old gap till you get to 3.
Then we look at the AL wildcard, which is interesting. It's really a 3-team race with 3 teams on the outside looking in, with mathematical potential, but not really actual potential.
Yeah.
We know whoever doesn't win the division in the AL West is going to take the first spot. That's a given.
Yes.
It's that second spot that's up for grabs. Currently held by the Seattle Mariners, Boston 2 games out, Cleveland 6 out, half out, Texas 8.5 out.
Yeah.
It's an interesting situation.
I think Seattle gets it. Seattle's drought didn't end in the eMLB universe. The drought is still going. They're due. It's their time.
They're due, but Boston is always that team coming in there. But Boston still has to play you, still has to play me. It's got a rough road ahead to get there.
Again.
I will say Boston, if we look ahead at their schedule, 3 against Oakland, 3 against me, 3 against you, 3 against Cincinnati, 3 against Toronto, and then they end the season with 4 against Houston.
They got some winnable games in that stretch. They've also got some tough opponents. I think that
you look at Seattle's road though.
Boston's Achilles heel will continue to screw them.
Yeah, you look at the Seattle Mariners, because we're giving a fair overview. They're the Texas Rangers for 4, Houston for 3, Texas for 3, Cleveland for 3, Oakland for 3, and then they end with the Angels for 3.
Yeah, they have a tough slate. They have a tough slate the rest of the way, but I just feel like this team that Hetz has built is finally due to get to the postseason.
You really think they're due right now for the postseason, though?
Yes, they're due. It's been since 2001. This team, like I said, this team's drought never ended.
But we saw them on Game of the Night today when we're recording this. Game of the Day, night, whatever we're talking about. They didn't look amazing.
No, they didn't. They lost. But you know what? You know what happened in the next 2 games in that series? They won them both.
Yeah.
They did. They just took 2 or 3 from Los Angeles. Sure, they lost the nationally televised game, but they won the other 2.
Yeah, fair. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other league, the National League, where races are less competitive. Phillies currently sit at a 9 on their magic number over Washington, who's 11 games back. Phillies got such an easy remaining schedule we won't really talk about.
The Phillies are awesome. Aggressive mediocrity all the way. It's about the fun differential, not the run differential.
Exactly. Cubbies with a 13-game lead on the St. Louis Cardinals. Magic number is down to 7 over there. We could see that as our first clincher. In the NL West, a little bit closer, but still not. San Diego Padres 5.5 up on San Francisco. Technically not mathematically eliminated from the division. The Dodgers at 13.5 back. San Diego's magic number is 13. And the wild card, Giants have a 7-game lead on the wild card, with St. Louis currently holding on to a 1-game lead over the Dodgers. Brewers still milling around there are just 4 games back of that playoff spot.
And technically, the world champion Nationals are still in the playoff picture, but that's just a technicality. It's not like they're in the American League with the Rays, who are also in that same spot, who are trending upwards. The Nationals are trending downwards hard.
I would just like to say as well, looking at the Brewers' schedule, it's not terrible for them.
No, I think that this 3-team race for that second wildcard spot is going to be the most interesting thing to watch in the eMLB over the next 2 weeks. Because right now the season is, as long as we stay on schedule, the season is slated to end on Thursday, December 15th, in real life time.
Yeah.
So we got 2 weeks left. We're close.
They got 6 against Pittsburgh, 3 against Miami, 3 against the Cubs, 3 against Cincinnati, or 2 against Cincinnati. Is it 2 or 3? 3 against Cincinnati and 3 against St. Louis. So favorable. So this leads us into our topic. Who is your dark horse team? So not the favorites, not your Orioles, Astros, Angels, your Cubs, your Padres, your Giants. Who of the other teams is your World Series dark horse, should we say?
All right, you want to go first? You want me to go?
You take this one. You
suggested
the segment. You take
so, of all the teams currently in the playoff picture, the teams that you're like the teams at the bottom, who I think could really get hot and go on that run, I'm going to take the Dodgers. The Dodgers have been an extremely streaky team, especially in the second half of the season. They'll go on long winning streaks, and then they'll turn around and go on long losing streaks. If they can hit the playoffs at the start of one of their hot streaks, there's not a single team that can beat them.
But just like you said, if they hit that cold streak,
yeah, but
they're done for.
They're a dark horse pick. I didn't call them a favorite.
You know what? I'm going to take the aggressive mediocrity back in my old stomping grounds. Give me the Phillies. They're just again, we talked about it, the fun differential. They're a fun team.
They are a really fun team. They play good defense. They don't score runs for shit, but mark it again.
And they're the team that no one saw coming out of this division. I feel like before the season, everyone was talking Braves, Nationals. Which one of these two teams will battle? Phillies were there, talked about third place.
Well, I don't know if everyone was talking about it. I think that one particular media pundit was really pushing the Braves narrative pretty hard.
Continue your thought.
I really like the Phillies. I don't think that they should be like. I know we're not talking favorites. We're talking the underdogs who may have like the best chance. I don't think that they've got the best chance. They're currently staring at a first round playoff game against the. Make sure I'm looking at this right. Against the Padres. I think that the Padres are the most well-rounded team in the National League. What the Phillies need is the Phillies need to come into a game against the Cubs. The Phillies need to come in because I think they can actually beat the Cubs with their mediocre to poor pitching. Sure, the Cubs have a great offense, but the Phillies specialize in keeping runs off the board. So I think they could have an edge in a 5-game series over the Cubs if things go their way.
I think they could too. I also think that a team that scores a lot of runs versus a team that doesn't score many runs, yet the pitching is what it's gonna come down to. Can the Philly staff hold off giving up a lot of runs? And can the Cubs...
That's what the Phillies would need if they get the Cubs. Right now, the Dodgers are slated to get the Cubs if they win the wild card game. And if they get the wild card game.
Phillies got 3 against Miami, 3 against Oakland, 4 against the Dodgers, which is really going to be a pivotal series for the Dodgers.
Agreed.
3 in Atlanta, 3 against Washington, and 3 against the Mets. Very winnable series.
Oh yeah, they should cruise into the postseason.
They'll cruise. Question is, are they going to cruise hot? That's where I think the tournament. I just don't see how the Dodgers even get into the postseason. And that's because for me,
right now, so
because for me, I have more faith in the 4 games out that Milwaukee is than the 1 game out that the Dodgers are.
That's fair. That's fair.
Even if we're just looking at what their schedules are, you look at it. You got to play 3 against San Francisco, 3 against Washington, 4 against Philly, 3 more against San Francisco, 3 against San Diego, and you end with 3 in Colorado.
They've got a tough stretch of games ahead of them, but they've already won 7 in a row, saying that they're on another hot streak right now. This team has got some elite pitchers on it. This team's also got some great bats. Dillard's awesome. Corcoran, the young second baseman's really good. They got Hilton from New York Yankees at the trade deadline.
Rob Deere Jr. has come up.
And then Peralta, Snell. And
can we just forget that we're also just not mentioning the big trade towards the beginning of the season and Darius McKenzie? Like, his name is just not mentioned in that.
That's what I'm talking about with this Dodgers team. This Dodgers team has so many good players, it's possible to overlook one. That's why I think that they're a dark horse. I think that this team is underperformed massively this year. And if they can come into the playoffs, hot. I don't like many teams to beat them.
I get it. I do. I look at what this team has in Philly, okay? Andrew O'Quinn having a great time. Bobby Orr has been a godsend. Manny Machado is still hanging around. Bryce Harper is still hanging around. We got this guy named Trevor Story who's still over there. On the pitching side, yes, they've struggled a little bit, but you're also seeing more options really come through. Lucas Gordon has been great for them. Clay Holmes has had a decent season. Andrew Hunter, since getting called up, has been great. Dante Haversam, are we going to see him? The Hebrew Hammer. You also look at a guy like Chris Jones, not really a well-known guy, but permitting a solid in 134 innings, a solid 3.75 ERA, where
This pitching
opponents are
staff
only
is
hitting
really
2.
good.
Yeah,
And it's
they're
helped
great.
out by their elite defense. They have one of the best defenses, like one of the best fielding defenses in eMLB.
And Kyle Crick and Emmanuel Duran at the back end of that, that's pretty damn good as a 1-2 punch at the back end. Philly's got a team, maybe not as many stars. Maybe if you're looking at the ratings, just the numbers of it, not the same. But like my man Brett Phillips says, baseball's fun. Philly likes to have fun, and you can't quantify the fun differential.
That's true. And what I think is really interesting about the National League, and I say this as an American League GM who doesn't play them a whole lot, so there's a little bit of unfamiliarity. I think outside of the Padres, there is not a clear favorite, and that is including the ultra explosive Cubs. I feel like every team, again, outside the Padres, is extremely flawed. And I wouldn't be surprised to see any one of the lower win total teams make it through the playoffs and go to the World Series.
In the AL, I mean, I feel like like we talked about, there are 3 teams at the top.
You know what? I as much as I want to pound my own, as much as I want to toot my own horn, it's 2 teams at the top.
Here's the thing, though. You say that, but we also have to look at the fact you're the reigning AL champion, and you still got a lot of those players from that team.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes it comes down to the human manager, and maybe this just comes down to me knowing you better than the other 2. But I trust your management, and you've proven you can do it in the playoffs.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I think that to my own credit and to whoever wins the Central's credit, getting the 2 and 3 seed in the American League is the goal. Not the second wild card. If you're the second wild card, you've got to go through 2 AL West teams. If you're the 2-3 seed, you got to face each other, and then at most one of the AL West teams. I think that there's a realistic possibility where the Orioles win the division series and then go to the AL Championship Series against the Astros, a team that we went 4-2 against this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's that real possibility. Speaking of an AL West team, there are 2 players who have been a constant debate this season.
Now, more recently picking up, at least.
More recently picking it up. About who should win the American League Most Valuable Player Award. There are 2 guys. One by the name of Michael Trout. The other by the name of Rafael Devers. This is why you come to Here's Why You're Wrong. Here it comes. The clash of the Titans. 2 big guys. We're both on different sides of this. All right? We pulled up. Each of us have our reasoning behind it. And here's the thing. Value means something different to everyone.
That it does.
So, Brenden, who are you taking and why?
I'm taking the big fish. Fishman Good, the 35-year-old superstar who continues to mash the ball in LA.
He does.
Mike Trout.
He does. But I'm taking Devers. And allow me.
You're allowed.
Devers has 4 less plate appearances. Okay? 56 more hits. 14 more doubles. 7 more home runs. 43 less strikeouts. 30 more runs batted in. 48 points higher in batting average. 52 points higher in slugging percentage. 15 higher points in BABIP. 2 points higher in WOBA. And a 2.04 higher win probability added. Also, not to mention, he's on pace for a Triple Crown.
He is on pace for a Triple Crown, and there are definitely some things where Devers is stronger. But I would argue that Devers is not the best hitter in the American League. He may win a Triple Crown, but he's not the best hitter in the American League. Mike Trout has got a 1060 OPS to Devers' 1046. They are comparable in WOBA. Like you mentioned, there's a 2-point gap between the 2 of them. Mike Trout has a 440 on base percentage. a 440.
66
Devers has only
points
got a
higher.
374.
60. But hold on. You say OPS, though? You want if we look at OPS, Trout's only 14 points higher, which is a very small gap when it comes to
It is, but that's a gap.
It's a gap. But also, Trout is struck out 43 times more.
Yeah, and Trout's not striking out at a ridiculous amount. Strikeouts really are not that bad if you continue to hit home runs and you continue to walk and you continue to be on base.
He does have 93 more walks.
They're not aesthetically pleasing. No one will say that they're aesthetically pleasing. But strikeouts are meh. Also, Mike Trout's stolen 9 bases this year against only 3 caught stealings. Devers ain't got a single stolen base. But we're talking about
he's never been caught. Never been caught.
Worst case scenario for Trout's candidacy, worst case scenario is you call the hitting a wash, right? You either have Devers with a slight lead or Trout with a slight lead. It comes out to mostly a wash, right? Mm-hmm. Devers is a DH. Mike Trout is a still respectable center fielder. Slightly below average.
With a negative 2.7 zone rating.
I'm sorry?
A negative 2.7 zone
Which is just slightly below league average.
Slightly below.
I mean, you look at zone rating. Anything within 5 plus or minus 5, you're about average.
Here, let me pull you one of the best arguments I've got here.
What is your best argument you got? Is Devers has a positive zone rating by not playing the field at all?
Devers has got that dog in him. No, here's one, and I've got statistical evidence to prove.
Okay.
In this community, we quantify that 1 WAR equals about $8 million. Correct?
Okay.
Roughly. For that's the number we're playing with here.
Okay.
Trout this year makes $35.45 million. Okay.
Okay.
Based on his WAR, he's worth $63.2 million at this current point of recording. Okay. That comes out to the Angels are getting $27.75 million more dollars in value than his contract is worth.
Okay.
Amazing. Just hearing those numbers right off the bat, that's amazing, right?
Right.
Almost double his contract. You look at Devers, making just $14 million this year. Just 14. With his WAR, he's worth $46.4 million. That's a net positive of $32.4 million. Almost $8 million more that's just under $5 million more value than Mike Trout.
Wow.
The numbers speak on the value. So when we talk about valuable, everyone has a different definition. One definition talks about money and worth. According to that calculation, and according to a calculation that's regarded as a fair calculation, Devers brings more value to his team.
By this argument, the most valuable player in the American League then is Grayson Rowand, who's still on a league minimum contract. So maybe Grayson Rowand should be MVP. There's a reason no one uses dollar amounts as a cases for MVP.
But I'm using it as a case between these two players, and this round goes to Devers.
It's value on the field, and you know it.
I feel like you can find.
All right,
you can find maybe hold on
7.9 WAR to 5.8. There's a gulf between the two.
What's Trout's D
value on the field?
What's Trout's D WAR?
What's Trout's D WAR?
Yes, please.
The game does not track D WAR.
That's stupid.
Also, doesn't matter. It's a cumulative stat. WAR is a cumulative stat.
Your D WAR plus your O WAR equals your overall WAR.
True. So well, Rafael Devers' D WAR is a negative something because of the positional adjustment for DH.
That's fair. That is fair. But here's what I would like to say as well. I also think if you take this is an argument I used in the big leagues this year, okay?
Okay.
You take these two guys and switch their teams. Just switch what team they're on, right?
Right.
I think based on the prospects and what else Tom has on his team, Trout doesn't make as big of Devers makes a bigger impact in that lineup than Trout would in Boston.
You want to phrase that again? I'm not seeing your point here.
That if you were to swap the two guys, Devers would still be the better player with more value in Los Angeles.
I would argue that they'd be the exact same players, minus one thing. The park adjustment does play a role in this, so we're going to look at OPS plus. We addressed that Trout's OPS is 14
OPS plus
higher.
Trout is 14 points higher in OPS plus.
Yes. However, 14 points higher in OPS plus is a big gap.
Correct.
Fenway is a much friendlier environment to hit in, and so he should be doing better.
That's fair. I just think that when it comes down to it, we have two great players.
We do have two great players.
But you can't vote against the Triple Crown, in my opinion. If someone wins the Triple Crown. If someone wins the Triple Crown, you cannot vote against it.
RBIs are straight worthless, and batting average is a worthless stat for evaluating players.
How is it worthless? It's telling you out of how many hits, how many times they hit safe.
Evaluating players. Your batting average does not tell you how good of a player you have. Your batting average only tells you how often you got on base via hit. That's it. Is a 330 hitter better than a 280 hitter? If the 280 hitter gets on base 70 points more than the 330 hitter? Absolutely not.
But you look at it as a cumulative.
You do, and
here's the point.
That's why the Triple Crown. It's why the Triple Crown argument, which is the best argument for Devers winning MVP, is completely meaningless because two of the three
stats for the Triple Crown. And guess what? This is going to come down to. We have enough people in this league that will go, "Hey, someone won a Triple Crown. Let's vote for that guy who won the award of a Triple Crown." The first time we've seen it. And the rest of them, it'll be like we talked about. It's probably a 50-50 split of who should win MVP. So you think, okay, let's take out that third that's going to say Devers won the Triple Crown, okay?
Okay, but that's what.
Then that's the other half, and it's going to go half and half.
When I say it's 50-50 split, I mean their hitting stats are basically a wash.
I think when people look at MVP, especially in this league,
are people going to vote for Devers if the Red Sox miss the postseason?
It doesn't matter. In my opinion, I get where that argument comes from, but in my opinion, that shouldn't matter. Again, we should go off regular season. And
it shouldn't matter. And RBIs shouldn't matter either. A stat that has no bearing.
I'm not saying they matter, but I'm saying that it is a stat in the game that people use. You can't argue that.
You're right. I can't argue that some people use RBIs to judge their players.
Correct. And you know what? The Triple Crown is an award that uses RBIs. Whether you like it or not, it's there. Okay?
Yeah, it is. I agree. And I think that there are maybe a third of the GMs who will view a Triple Crown as a reason to vote for Trout, and the other 20 are going to vote for Devers, and the other 20 are going to vote for Trout. That's what I think.
I think it's going to be closer to a 15-15 split. It's going to come down to. It's going to come down to, honestly, I don't know. But you know what? At the end of the day, both of these guys deserve it. And at the end of the day, you can't go wrong choosing either guy. But in my opinion, I'm a guy who likes awards. I'm an old school baseball mind. I don't always look at the stats. Sometimes you have to in this game. But when it comes to MVP, something that I don't necessarily like about this game necessarily is you can't quantify. Like, you can know what value means when it comes to off the field in real life. Like, what is their clubhouse presence like? What do they do in that clubhouse? You know, what do they do? You can't do that in this. So that takes away my part of my definition of valuable in this game. But what it comes down to is the fact that obviously we got 2 weeks left and can happen, but I'm probably going to Devers.
Okay. You're welcome, and you're welcome to have that opinion. Devers isn't even head and shoulders the best hitter on his own team.
Who said you have to be the best hitter on your team to win the most valuable player award? Like you're saying that it's not all offense, yet you're saying he's not even the best hitter on his team. So what? He's having a remarkable season. He's having a most valuable player season. Hold on. If you want to argue, this award shouldn't be named most valuable, in my opinion. it should be called the best player award because value is quantified differently for everyone.
Means.
To you, no, but that's what it means to you. To me, valuable has a different meaning. Who brought the most value to the table for their team where it mattered?
I still say Trout.
And to me, it's Devers.
I mean, if we're going to use personality, Devers hangs out with his teammates after the game. But Mike Trout, fans come to the park to see him.
Again, two different types of valuables.
I'd love the out-of-the-park position, the out-of-the-park personality.
But again, that's two different types of valuable. To an owner, Trout is more valuable because he puts more butts in the seats.
I mean, Mike Trout is a leader, though.
I'm saying based on those OOTP descriptions, okay?
Based on OOTP personality, Mike Trout's a leader.
Okay. Based on OOTP descriptions that you just gave, Trout may be more valuable to the owners because he puts more butts in seats, but Devers may be more valuable to the manager in that clubhouse because he's well-liked with his teammates and he gels with his teammates.
Yeah, and Mike Trout's a leader, and Devers has low loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. My point being is that you really cannot use this at all as a gauge of who the MVP should be.
No. But I'm saying that takes away something of what I quantify as value. At the end of the day, both of these guys are going to get votes. And you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't see how Devers doesn't win it. It'll be close, but I still think Devers wins it.
I think Trout wins it, and it's competitive. But I think Trout wins by multiple votes, enough to be safe.
I think it's going to be 15-15 in first place. Devers is going to get 15 second place votes, and just to spite someone's going to give one of the second place votes that should have gone to Trout to someone else.
Like one of their own guys?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I guess we'll see what Ben does if Ben chooses to sabotage the MVP voting by voting for Grayson Rowland, right?
Right. You see, they're the human element that we're also not factoring in. Because MVP is not just based on first place votes. It's based on cumulative points.
It is.
So if it's a 15-15 split.
All I'm saying right now is that if I'm sitting here voting for my American League MVP, I am going Trout, Rowland, Devers in that order.
I'm going Trout, Devers, Rowan. Devers, Trout, Rowan. Sorry, I messed up. You said Trout first and threw me for a loop.
Okay, but you just admitted you're voting Trout first, so
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm telling you that you're...
I'm kidding, man. Come on.
You threw me for a dang loop. I'm just telling you that, in my opinion, it's Devers because I value a triple crown.
All right, in your opinion, and my facts is Trout.
The facts, value based on money, goes to Devers in this argument.
Okay, cool. And the Red Sox could feel real good about that after the season's over and they're missing the playoffs.
Nice little cheap shot. I like it. I like it a lot.
Low blow.
Low blow.
If you watch this, Billy, I love you.
Billy, don't get me wrong. It's going to be fun. Speaking of fun and going towards next year, just to give everyone a quick little look at what things are going to look like next year, because especially this offseason, we're going to be referencing the new divisions a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Your AL East will be as follows. Sorry, I'm pulling it up here on my second screen here.
I have it off the top of my head. You want me to go?
Yeah, no, I've got it. So it's Baltimore, Boston, Tampa, New York, Toronto, Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the AL West is going to be Minnesota, Kansas City, Houston, Los Angeles, Seattle, Texas, Oakland, and the new team, the Portland Stags, run by Attica.
Mm-hmm.
In the NL side, the East is going to be Phillies, Nationals, Braves, Mets, Marlins, Cubs, or Pirates, Reds. Right? Pirates, yep. Reds. And then the addition of the Montreal Expos, ran by Tranquil Hill Farms. And then the NL West will be Cubs, Cardinals, Brewers, Padres, Giants, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Rockies.
Yes, sir. It's going to be some really interesting baseball. I love two divisions. Baseball needs two divisions in my mind.
I think you and I were looking at it the other day. We had a conversation in the Discord about it. By the way, check the link in the description for the Discord. We were talking about it. There's sort of, especially in the AL East, I think, we sort of quantified it as there's two halves almost to it.
Yeah.
You've got Tampa, Boston, Baltimore, and Cleveland.
You know what?
And Chicago.
The two halves argument, though, was had before Chicago really caught up to the race.
Yeah, I'd say Chicago. So there's a clear top five where one team is going to be sad because they're probably missing a wild card spot there to an extent. And then a bottom three, sadly, I mean, I guess, or not really sadly, of Detroit, Toronto, and New York are the bottom part of that team. I think if we look at the West or the upcoming West, Houston, Texas, Seattle, Los Angeles are the top half, obviously.
Yeah.
Kansas City, Minnesota, Oakland, and obviously we don't know what the expansion draft is going to look like yet. I know there's talks about it, and you probably know being on the expansion committee, but it hasn't been publicly released.
The terms of the expansion draft are finalized. They will be released here shortly.
Just hasn't been released publicly.
Correct. They are finalized, however.
Correct. I think if we look at the NL East, again, I will always love my Braves, even though they're underperforming, and I think Kenny's going to take them in a good direction. I think you look at a top half, Phillies, Nationals, Braves. Even though the Reds are having a bad season, I feel like they have a lot of young core, and they were hurt by Trey Griffey going down.
I don't think, you know, you want to talk about MVP. This is a National League, so this is a different conversation. Is any one player more valuable to his team than Trey Griffey was? This team was a 500 ball club until he got hurt, and then they nosedived.
That's value, baby.
That is value, right?
That is value. But I think you say, you know, Atlanta, Washington, Philly, and Cincinnati in the top half. Pittsburgh, Miami, New York, and Montreal.
Pittsburgh, once like the pieces finally gel together, if they finally gel together, Pittsburgh will be a force to be reckoned with.
Here's the thing. Cody is like myself at times, and I think he's going to get too trigger happy before he allows his team to gel.
He could be. He absolutely could be. But Pittsburgh is a horrendously unlucky team right now.
And then the West, the West for me is the scariest division. Because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that are in the playoff hunt just this year.
Yeah.
And don't count out Arizona with a full-time manager now, plus some of the prospects they have. The only team that makes me think is Colorado that might be at the bottom. Teams are going to be unhappy in that division, and you know what? Good for the rest of us.
Good for the rest of the National League. I think next year you can realistically see a situation because we're going to have 6 playoff teams. That's each division winner, and then 4 wild cards, just 4 best records in either division. I think next year there's a real good chance that East winner, West winner gets in, and then 4 wild cards from the West.
I think the AL has a more even distribution of talent.
It does.
Where the NL is very West heavy.
Yeah. And you know what? I admit I tried. I'm on the expansion committee. I tried to do justice. I tried to stick St. Louis and Chicago in the East and move Houston back to the National League, but we'll just move past that.
Oh, you should have. That would have been.
You know, that's how they used to be, though. Houston and Milwaukee belong in their original leagues. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. So Milwaukee would have been an AL West team then?
AL East.
So who would have bumped to the West? Detroit?
So it would have been in the American League. You would have had Chicago would have been in the West because that's where Chicago used to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was Chicago or Detroit, like which one.
Well, Detroit is significantly more east than Chicago.
I'm trying to visualize it in my head, and my brain is just.
You're from Florida. You don't really know American geography because you're barely America. You're just swampy land. Florida is barely America and all America at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, where would America be without Florida Man?
That's true. The national mascot.
The national mascot. Very true. That would have been a really interesting thing. Like, that would have been real interesting.
I thought so too, but It's not as convenient to the way the Major League Baseball is formed right now. So I understand the current argument. It's the current league alignment is very geographically driven, which is nice.
Yes, very true. It's going to be fun, no matter what. It's going to be exciting.
It is going to be exciting.
Just like this pennant race coming up. Make sure to stay tuned to the Discord, to the YouTube, to the Twitch channel for all things eMLB pennant race, including playoffs. Insert
the trademark Aiden saying at this point. It's no longer Mora's.
Playoffs? Talk about playoffs. We're just trying to win a game. Looking at you, Boston.
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy. Also,
we're taking some shots at Boston today.
We really are. But that's what we can do. Well, actually, are we really? Sorry, I had to sneak a well, actually. Well, actually, had to sneak one in there. Had to sneak one.
Put some
this
tape.
Has been another. Yeah, get the tape right over there. This has been another episode of Here's Why You're Wrong. We like these shorter, condensed versions. We promise more of these on a more regular basis now that we've sort of figured out what we're doing. We appreciate everybody for listening and watching along. Any questions, let us know in the Discord. Please come out and hang along with us. Check out the Twitch streams. And until next time, see you guys later.